agree.
Also, back again. Also,
that sound, that's what that sound means. You hear that?
We got early Rasta horns.
You can hear those Rasta horns.
Binge.
You know what time it is?
What's up, guys?
It's Binge Society time.
Oh, yes. Welcome to the show, guys. We are super excited. We've got a fantastic show, and that was a nice play on words I just did there, and you'll know why in a second, because
Wataguan.
we have our second guest.
Second guest.
But like always, I'm Winston Brewington.
Indeed. I'm Danny Bronner.
And I'm Yemi Afalabi. You know what time it is.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, like I was saying, we got our second guest. She's very brave to come here in this vortex of sometimes toxic masculinity. Sometimes
we
can be juvenile.
Yeah.
But we keep it above board.
We keep it above
try to
board.
operate at the top of our intelligence
Not
at
below
least
board.
once per show. In any case, you may know her from the fantastic following she's been gathering on her Instagram. Fantastic Frankey. Welcome to Binge Society.
Thank you.
All right, so welcome. You are very brave. We are going to be talking about, obviously, what you're into, but our binge of the week is going to be Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. So if you haven't seen it, leave.
Yeah.
Get out.
Spoilers.
Listen for a little bit.
Listen for the banter, but then once you start spoiling, get out of my face.
Go away.
Yeah.
Or get out of my ears.
Yeah.
What would they be getting out of?
Get out of our
all of our orifices.
All of our orifices.
Actually, no, I shouldn't be telling our listeners to leave. Listen, stay.
Stay.
Stay
Just
out.
spoil it. Stay.
I'm not angry today.
Stay and listen and watch it later.
Thanks for coming,
You got-
Frankie.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming. Thanks for coming. In the rain.
I'm fine. I do a lot of nerd content.
Yes.
And then I also work in fitness outside of here.
Oh, dope.
So I'm always surrounded by men. So
Hey, all right.
It's crazy.
All right.
It's crazy.
I was
and
gonna say-
toxic masculinity. So it's all
It's a real fucking thing, and it's a real thing that comes up. No, we don't. No.
I think we're pretty
I'm being
harmless.
unkind.
We
of
joke about
ourselves.
it.
Yeah,
We
we
joke
joke
about-
about
We get a little broy at times.
Yeah.
If anything, we say
bros.
we're trash.
Yeah.
We'll be the first to say we are trash.
yeah, we-
Acceptance
We've said
is
it.
the first.
Yeah.
We're
Exactly.
aware,
Yeah.
Yeah.
acceptance, surrender, and awareness of
Sink
how
into who
shitty
you are,
we
man.
are as a gender. You know, it's good. Anyway, so tell us a little bit about yourself, how you gathered your following on your Instagram, the type of things you're into these days.
That sort of thing. Yes. So I've always been into comic books for a very long time. And then I'm a child of Toonami. So Toonami got me into DBZ and things like that. And of course that spills into other anime. And lately, maybe the last 2 or 3 years, I really realized I'm always on YouTube watching like white boys mostly, but some black men as well.
Some Caucasians.
Talk about
Caucasians.
things. And I'm like, I don't think any of these things, or they're not mentioning this, or blah, 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 blah. And I thought perhaps it's because there's no New York woman, black woman talking about it, so why
Preach.
not? So
did you find like a niche that needed to be filled, or do you
think
feel like you wanted to fill the niche that you were missing?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I actually went for homecoming at Ghana last Christmas.
Oh,
West
wow.
Africa, shout out.
Yeah,
Shout
it
out.
was fire.
What they do.
Yeah. So I went with a huge group of people, and we're on a bus going to the club, and I'm explaining to one of my friends Game of Thrones. So I'm black explaining it to them. I'm
What
just
is
saying,
this?
yeah. I'm like,
Why
yeah,
is
this
this
guy
on?
over here is out here wilding and da-da-da-da. So everybody's on the bus is just dying, and they're like, Frankie, you should do a page or da-da-da, because no one talks about things like that. I'm very cynical, and I always make jokes, so they were like, why not try it? And I was like, yeah, it's free. I think it wasn't free. I may have spent $50 to set it up. I got a makeup light. I filmed everything on my phone and a lavalier mic, and I just learned how to edit through YouTube. So it's like full circle.
Wow.
And
Nice. Hold yourself by your
yeah.
bootstraps.
I just started.
Grassroots.
That's what you have to do. You just start, and then it kind of fell into place. I started in the very end of January, beginning of February, and
Of this year?
of this year.
And you got 14,000
Wow.
followers?
13.
Oh, 13, sorry.
It could be a lot.
You got that's 100,000. Hey, I didn't say that.
They erected a statue of you in Ghana.
I mean, I definitely,
He's making crazy claims.
I definitely think the way that my page is set up and the way I look plays a decent part to it. They come for the looks, they stay for the content for sure.
Hey,
Hey, right. There's nothing wrong with that.
But it helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Because I say that because my DMs are crazy all the time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you're not like a thirst trap. You're like a thirst lure.
Because I wear a T-shirt, so sometimes I get crazy things in my DMs. I'm like, what? I don't even have my collarbone out, and y'all saying wild things. You know what I mean?
Hey,
again, men are
Trash.
Men are
We're
trash.
We are
Thank
trash.
you.
Basura.
Yeah.
God, are we doing this again? I was retiring that after.
Mierda.
Nothing
Mierda,
should
coño, sorry.
ever be retired.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We
no.
just do that. That's starting to happen every episode.
And
Just
that sort of thing that you're seeing in your DMs, that's something that's definitely going to come up when we talk about Big Mouth, which once again, very brave of you to come talk about that show with 3 dudes. But
I think it's
shout out to you for that.
because there are men who write. It's Nick Kroll and I think
John Mulaney.
Yes.
I love
John
one of my
Mulaney.
favorite comics.
And his
John
friend, Nick Kroll's best friend, is doing it, is writing it with him. I forgot his name. But either way, it's 3 white boys talking about it. And I'm like, yo, they're even talking about like women issues and things I had in puberty that I didn't even realize was wrong until I got older. And it's like, you get more woke as you grow up. And now that we have Instagram, things are like coming to light.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, that wasn't right, and things like that. So
Yeah, it's cool.
enjoy it.
It's cool when you get that adult perspective, and it's really interesting. And there's so many things that came up. I'm getting too deep into this show, but I'm so excited to talk about a lot of my experiences that I related to this show.
Yeah.
So a big part of your Instagram is the anime perspective.
Yeah, I wanted
and it's
to touch
interesting.
on
It's
that.
interesting because I feel like Black culture and anime, especially in my generation, Yemi's generation, the sort of millennial generation, our generation, Winston.
Winston's such a
He
my
called
generation.
you out. He was like,
nigga, you
No,
my age.
because you know
us.
I'm still
We're
trying
the
to
same age. He's like, my generation.
I'll tell you, no.
You mean-
I wasn't thinking of Winston because he's not a real anime believer.
I'm trying.
You know,
Trying his
Shame.
I didn't mean to
Shame. No.
Get the
sorry.
shame words on this.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't watch anime. How does that make you feel? All right, so yeah, I noticed.
Were you doing the boys right now?
No, I was doing the Shame Wizard.
The Shame
The Shame
okay.
Wizard.
Yeah.
He's a great character, too.
Great
He
character.
is. I love
All
him.
right.
So I feel like Black culture is very much embedded in anime, especially from our generation. So it's great that
But not
to offer that, but
represented.
it's not represented in terms of analysis. So it's good to see that sort of a premise,
Or just like-
presence rather. So what I want to ask you about is just in general, since anime is one of your things, what are your top 5 animes of all time?
Okay.
Frankie's top 5.
Frankie's top 5. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Brotherhood is fire.
That gets a.
Yemi threw that in there.
What are
That's one of the best animes out there. Come on.
it really is.
Let's
It's
stop
a
it.
complete story. There's no time for fillers.
Yeah.
There's short seasons.
It's about 2 brothers. Like, come on.
Yeah, and if you're not really into anime or you haven't gotten into it, Winston, this is a great start. Great
All
start,
right.
man.
I might have to jump in.
I'm only gonna go to animes that like have full circles because there are some good ones that start that can't be top 5 yet. But that's one. Cowboy Bebop is one of the most diverse.
Men.
Yes. Dragon Ball Z, I always have a lot of gripes about it, but it
What's
really
one of your
is.
gripes? Vegeta?
Goku? What? No, Vegeta is
He's a
bae.
hater.
Vegeta is bae. I love it. Goku. I got about
Vegeta's
4
the receding
videos.
hairline? Ooh.
Yes, man.
Makes my tummy glitter.
Ain't nothing wrong with a heart-shaped face,
Yeah.
man. Y'all don't y'all heard? And his drip, and he got a billionaire. He got a billionaire. No
Oh, yeah. Well,
problem.
Bulma snatched him up.
Oh, yeah.
Yo,
yeah,
nah,
yeah.
he took Boma. Boma was with Yamcha. Yo,
Oh,
he
yeah.
took, Yamcha
But
almost
Yamcha
killed
was like a
himself.
fuckboy.
Vegeta's
though.
a bad man, though,
Yamcha
man.
rolled up in that gravity chamber. Knew damn well he couldn't do it because Vegeta was training hard, and he was like, "Yo, Vegeta can't take my girl in front of me." He was staying at the crib with Yamcha. All 3 of them took his girl. Right
And now
off.
I realize
That's some gangster.
Vegeta definitely directly caused Yamcha's death. So that's kind of fucked up, too.
And he also killed some of his boys. So the guy who kills your boys is now with your woman.
Hey, man, he's got that bad man pink
Yeah,
button
man.
down. She just, hey, says it on the label.
Took your billionaire girlfriend. He don't got no cheese. Yo, he was the prince. He don't got
Yeah.
no money.
Yeah.
Took his billionaire girlfriend.
You got that
And
badass
they had a
personality.
girl
Sink
from
into
it.
who you are.
Yeah,
Vegeta
man.
sunk into
Never
who
smiles.
he is.
Never smiles.
Never
Like,
smile. But he's a good father. Goku was pressing him because he went train with him. He
Goku's
was
not
like,
a good
yo,
dad.
my woman about to have a baby. Like, I can't leave to train for that. And
Yeah.
Goku was really perplexed. Like, what? I miss, like, all my kids' lives, and they're good.
I've been dead for half their lives.
On purpose, and they're good. But he don't got a Piccolo, so he got to step up. You know what I mean? Black man.
Oh yeah, Piccolo was hanging out with Gohan.
Yeah, man.
Piccolo raised him. They
Piccolo
showed Piccolo was with Gohan's daughter before Goku, I think, met him. So Piccolo was babysitting.
So Piccolo's so Nameks
babysitting.
Fair enough. Nameks are black, right?
Yeah,
they're black.
Namekians,
Okay, because I felt like that was.
They look like they say Spanish Moors, and I mean we could get into that too. But there's a lot of anime in general. They're modeled after black culture, the hairstyles, things like that. They look like black people, and then they just paint their skin white. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting perspective. I've never heard that.
You gonna look at them now? You gonna be like, "Dag, she got Bantu knots in," or you gonna look like, "Yo, this is pretty black." But then they love our culture. I went to Japan.
Oh, word. Okay.
Loved it out there, and they were wearing Supreme.
Yeah,
they
love
play
hip hop
and stuff. So they break dance. They love us, so they know. That's what kills me when people are like they're not exposed to it. I'm like, yo, they are.
How could you not?
So they are watching Jay-Z as we speak right now on the TV while they're getting dressed, right? Because what time is it? So, it's 4 a.m. But they're
getting up. Those dudes in business
up.
suits are coming out of their like fucking cubbies in the hotels. They're like, all right,
exactly.
Okay, so Dragon Ball Z.
That was three, right?
That was 3. It was
Cowboy
Metal,
Bebop,
Cowboy.
Full Metal.
Yeah.
2 more.
Okay, so actually, I said nothing new, but I will throw it in there. The Promise Neverland is fire.
You were telling us
on
about
Hulu.
that.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. It's about these kids that are in an orphanage, and they age out at 12. And they find out that not everything that they think is what they're seeing. And it's another anime that's short. It's a thriller. It's quick to go. It's fire.
Yeah, that was the one that you mentioned when we met up at Comic-Con.
Yes. That's a really good one.
Gotta binge it.
You gotta binge it. And then you know what? I'm gonna throw another new one. I love My Hero Academia.
I hear a lot about that. My students keep on telling me to watch that.
I'm about to break the machine here.
It's new. It's hard because there's only I think we're in season 4 that just started. Yeah, so it's hard for me to say, this is one of the greatest animes. But I love it because I've always grown up with X-Men, and this is X-Men, but they have flaws. So it's scientific. So like. I'm trying to think of one. Like, all right, I can have ice powers, but I get cold, so I can't do it. But for so long, or I'll get hypothermia.
So there's
like Deku. Like Deku has like stamina problems. Like he can't keep doing his. He can only
fuck once and then he's done.
No, but
not Deku. You talk about Bakugo.
Bakugo.
Yeah.
He has like explosion hands, but he can't use it forever
because it comes from his sweat.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
Much can you sweat?
Yeah, so he has to. Get better. There's a whole arc where they like train their stamina because it's like powers. It's like power release. You can't be OP and just keep doing the same thing over and over. That would be a
like
whack
Goku.
anime.
That's definitely one of
like
the
Goku or X-Men
or like One Punch Man. But that's a whole different.
But that's a satire. He knows it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, but it's still good though. Like the fact that. Sorry to like shift, but like One Punch Man he's already he can't lose. Okay. So you'd be like, oh, what's the point of this anime? But it's about him being like human, like being the strongest is boring as fuck.
Yeah, and the anime is
you know what I mean? And like that's a human thing. Is like I don't feel anything.
Yeah,
anymore.
and it's self-aware. It's
Yeah.
self-aware, and it's like taking the piss out of
and it's also
tropes.
poking out of like, but it's still good. There's still other characters that have arcs and stuff like that.
I don't know. I feel like I would be as cocky as Goku if I was that powerful. Like if you notice, everyone that Goku's fought is either dead or his boy now. Like,
That's
imagine
true.
being so powerful that
man.
everyone you encounter, everyone who opposes you is dead or like bringing you lunch. Like that's crazy.
But Goku's
That's
like,
crazy.
but he's a Saiyan in a sense. He's like a nice dude. He just loves to fight.
Yo, he's not a nice dude. Yo,
You don't
I know
think so?
it's a front.
This
It's
is like
front.
a nice dissertation or something.
Yeah.
I think
Goku is trash.
I did
Goku's a
I did
nice
a
dude,
full video about how he's a sociopath, right? He that boy.
A little bit, yeah.
that
You
man
could do
is
like
crazy.
the Saved by the Bell thing. Like Zach Morris is trash.
No,
you could do it.
no.
Goku is trash.
May I interject? He's the guy. He's like
Zach Morris is trash.
he'll fight you because he knows you're the strongest dude on the block. But he'll do it with a smile, like, yo, you're the strongest, so I gotta fight you.
Right.
Like it's not on some like Debo shit. He's like, come on, man, I gotta kick your ass. Like you're the
Right.
strongest. Like,
Yeah.
And I don't.
and it's
think
my
that-
block now, so but we friends. But it's like, all right, but that's because he's stronger than me. You're about to do a spirit bomb, and I can't really.
Who's gonna wait in a fight for a spirit bomb? To
Yeah,
charge up?
that's
like, I'm
kinda like-
decking you while
Yeah.
you charge, and that's fighting in general in comics and anime. They're
Yeah.
like doing their move. Even in wrestling, I tried to do the rock bottom once on my cousin, he deaded that halfway through. You know how long it was? You had to run on either side and stuff like that.
Trip you as you run past him. It was like, oh, dead in the water.
That's how you beat that. Yeah.
Who waits? But I think I think my biggest issue with Goku is they make it seem like he's his hero, and I think that he just likes a challenge. So I don't think he saves the world because he wants to save the world. I think he saves the world because he's like, well, you're the strongest dude, and you gonna blow up my planet. I like.
He's like, I kind of live here, man.
Yeah.
I like the rest.
You up in my crib, yo. Like, I don't think he's like, I gotta save these people.
Eating my Japanese pizza over here.
I've never
man, don't
seen
get me
it
thinking
brand.
about Okonomiyaki. Oh my god.
And the Ginryu's coming to get you. That's one of my favorites, man. I love that arc.
All right, so
we nerded out about some anime.
I
We can
wanted
keep going
to
too.
transition really quickly before
Sorry,
we go into our binge of the week. No, because this anime discussion is actually really interesting. But I wanted to get your take on some Marvel and comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick. So I saw a few of your videos and your
Me too.
Thank you.
I saw your
Hashtag me too.
saw your review for the Joker movie. And,
Very good review, by the way.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting take. Also, your review of Captain Marvel, which
Yeah.
I thought was really interesting because you're talking about your perspective as a woman watching it and how maybe some men watching it weren't getting it, so maybe that's why they didn't like it as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah, and just
Guilty.
to be clear, it's really cool and interesting because for the most part, your perspectives on both of those films are different from that of our own.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And in
everyone
opposite
else-
directions.
In the opposite
too.
direction.
But
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
So,
you know
love
what's
it.
funny? Both those videos are like so popular, and I got the most hate from it. The Joker, the most. Like, I had some fanboys talking crazy. I had to put a disclaimer, do a live because I was like, "What?" First of all, y'all know he fake, right? Like this
hold
guy
on.
is not real.
Before I go in, this is not a real thing,
This
right?
is not real.
even-
Baby, I
he's
need
not
to
your
preface
cousin.
my video. Not just that, but I'm
Yeah.
like, do y'all know Todd Phillips or Joaquin Phoenix? Oh, excuse me, Joaquin Phoenix. I gotta say
well
it.
done, well done.
Full of, because they're just so protective of him, and I'm like, y'all know, especially the fanboys going hard. I'm like, y'all know. I know you guys read it. This is them preying on us. Kind of like there's a movie Green Book where they're like,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, it's about this black musician and his mark in history, but it was really about his white driver. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
don't try to sell me because you know we're like a big community. You know how we come out for things. Don't try to push it as one thing. It would have been just as good of a movie, if not better, if I wasn't looking for the ties to Gotham. If they didn't shoehorn so many things about Gotham in there. You know what I mean? Like if you change the names of it, say you took out that story at the end, which they threw in, and you changed all the names, you wouldn't know that was a Joker story. But if I told you, oh, well, this man got sent to another planet because his blew up, and then he was raised on a farm and he had superpowers, he became a superhuman like hero, you know instantly that's Superman. No matter what I change on the details, the base of the story is there. And with the Joker, it wasn't like that. The guy wasn't brilliant, which no matter how crazy the Joker is, he's brilliant.
That was one of my criticisms on my.
That was a really strong point. Yeah, no, yeah, like you were saying the same thing. He didn't really have that Jokerish, like sort of calculating. Like he caused chaos, but it was chaos that he knew what he was doing.
He sort of derped his way
Exactly.
into that chaos.
Yeah,
into that
interesting.
role.
And then the second part is I don't think is real. So everything that happens, spoiler alert, by the way, everything that happens after the murders, I think that's all in his mind.
That's kind of was my grievance. I was like, I don't think that was real.
So then what makes him the Joker? What revolution did he start? You know what I mean? What chaos is he ensuing? Because everything the Joker does is intentional. Now it's chaos, it's wild, but that man is a mastermind. Mastermind. The newest stuff, he's definitely
the way I sort of explained that away was that I figured that maybe he was just coming into that role.
Right.
And when you see him a bit more relaxed on the train after he commits the murder, spoiler alert, on the Murray Hill or whatever, the Murray show, he's a lot more comfortable and locked into that role. So I want to believe that everything happened because I feel like it would be a narrative cop-out if it didn't. I'd be really
Right.
fucking
I don't think
pissed
it
at
did,
that.
man.
Yeah, maybe it's just my ego that won't like let myself go there because I'd be like, that's such a fucking cop out. But if I'm operating under that assumption that this is the Joker, then I can get through that disappointment because I'm like, well, maybe he's getting into the role, and maybe it's later on in this universe that he really comes into that genius, that sense of control that he's finally getting, and that's where he gets that sort of evil genius quality that we know and love, and that was the thing that gave Heath Ledger the nod for me as the best Joker representation on film because he had that aspect, among other things. So that was my take on that.
And I also didn't get what kind of Gotham they were doing. So they showed all this civil unrest. What caused it? They didn't show me what the real poverty lines were. Yeah, the Joker was poor. He was in like a government funded thing. But I didn't know, like, it would have been better if they were like, yo, Thomas Wayne is not putting in money for this, or, you know what I mean? So the strife, I felt like the city wasn't, they didn't create that city. If this is an origin story, you're not going to show me an actual Joker. Show me how he's truly a product. So we're all assuming things from what we know, especially us. We live in New York. So I want to see someone who doesn't live in New York, who doesn't know some of the things. Because there were some great scenes. Like that scene on the train, I think I've experienced maybe once every other week. The one with the woman.
Oh, yeah.
She's being harassed.
I said that was one of my favorite scenes because it was so visceral. Like this happens every day to a woman on the New York City streets.
Yeah,
especially late night. You'll be on an F or something. No one's on the train, and it's just like one lady
Oh
and
my
four
God,
dudes.
yeah.
I'm like,
Scary, man.
and I'm just like
Scary.
thinking like, don't do anything super.
If I work late, and it's not what you wear too, because I could go out looking crazy.
No,
it don't matter.
It's about power. It's about power.
It's power,
Yeah.
and it's always
And
it's about the fact that men are trash.
Too.
You know,
No, it's
it's
about
about
power. It's
But
ego. It's
But
being-
that's a part of why men are trash. is the power
aggression.
dynamic, for sure.
They might be an incel. You don't know. Like you
Yeah.
know, there's numerous amounts of like
Factors
why like people like that do the shit they do. But sorry, continue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I thought the performances were great, but also I think there wasn't any supporting characters. So it was just Joaquin Phoenix like killing the game. We know he can act, but like he was in every single scene. There's not one scene without him.
Right.
Not
I see what
one
you mean.
scene.
I see
Yeah.
what you mean. And there is
Yeah.
there's definitely a narrow focus on him. So those are all legit complaints. There's no way for me to respond to that one. I would say like my view on the how the film portrays I guess like the plight of the classism and the stratification in that world. It's through like subtle things like the funding getting removed for his mental health care, for example. But yeah, you know what? I guess for whatever reason, I just sort of went with that. I don't know what it is. If maybe it was just like my background knowledge. Just like, yeah, we're in a gritty Gotham where the poor are getting stomped on. That message was conveyed to me, but maybe that was just like my own like
Because you know already.
filter. Yeah.
You know that, and they're calling it a masterpiece. 8 minutes standing ovation. So if
that's
it's
right.
that
Well, no one was
long,
standing up at
you
our
shouldn't
theater.
have these questions.
But like at the film
the
festival,
Venice Film
at the
Festival.
film
Yeah.
in Venice, they were probably lit off some.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Bravissimo. Hey.
Get out of my head. I thought it was a brilliant film just based off of being like a thespian going to theater school. Like the fact that he was in every scene speaks to his like vessel as an actor that he can captivate me, at least from my perspective. Because here's the thing, I didn't know about because you know I'm a nerd, but like he was like, we got to see the Joker. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll see it. So I didn't see the whole hype thing. I tend to stay adjacent to that because I know what that is, and that's the same reason why I'm like the last Avengers I wasn't like a big fan of, because it was so much hype, and then you go there and you're like, it was good, it wasn't that good. So I think
it wasn't nearly as good as Infinity War.
no,
but
Infinity War was hands
Way
down
better.
like the best, I think, in that universe.
I was
So-
satisfied, but I know what you're
Really,
saying.
I thought Far From Home was a really good
Interesting.
standalone.
Oh yeah, that's what I love
Like-
about the Spider-Man films. Are really self-contained like that.
yes.
Oh, I didn't see Far From Home.
You should. It's
It's
pretty
good?
Yeah,
good.
Far From Home.
I haven't
and,
seen that in Logan.
and Homecoming.
You gotta see Logan too.
Yeah, I know. I haven't
That's
seen.
it.
I know.
That's
I
another
get
one,
shamed. I get
like
shamed for
Joker,
that.
that's
I
like-
know. I get shamed for
that's-
not
See,
seeing
Logan to me is a perfect, not quite comic book movie.
Yes. It's
Okay.
like it transcends comic book film for me. That's
Okay.
just like a good.
It's rated R,
fucking
right? Yeah,
film.
you
It's
told me
rated
that.
R.
Yeah.
It's
and
super
it's,
gory.
it's more than
It's
it's like
Logan.
a western
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
It's more of a western, but it's just sprinkles of the X-Men in there.
Okay.
But it's really about him and like
Yeah, it's definitely not
bonding
about the
with his
powers. I mean,
dad.
it is and it
But
isn't.
Logan also has a fucked up backstory too, right? Isn't he more of a renegade, like you know, Buster Brown?
It's
One
still
of his own
filling the
Buster
same
Brown
universe
or
that all the X-Men films.
He's a Buster Brown.
Oh boy,
Sorry. Sorry.
it's still the same universe as like all the other X-Men films through.
we don't know what the continuity for the X-Men are right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Film-wise.
We don't know
They
what's
reset
happening.
it
After
and-
Apocalypse, they're going back in time. I'm like,
I haven't seen the last two films, but I can't believe that they
Yeah.
fucked up Phoenix twice and Apocalypse.
Twice.
Yeah,
At least
they-
they
how do
didn't
you-
make it, since we're gonna go into Big Mouth. At least they didn't make it that she was like hormonal and moody, and that's why she got Phoenix Moore.
Explode, kill,
I got us Ben and Jerry's, please.
And I was a teenager,
Gee.
I think, when that came out,
Jesus
and even then, I was like, "This is Texas
Yeah.
AF. Like I was just watching it. Like, so she angry because I've read.
man.
The
Did she start?
Phoenix thing.
Did she start calling Professor by his first name? Well,
Charles.
Xavier, Charles, yeah.
Rude. That's
Charles.
rude. That's
Charlie,
rude.
Chucky. All right.
Like,
So
he
wait,
ain't
so the,
housing,
so the
that's
last,
our boss.
so the last Phoenix was bad too. That one actually looked.
It was
good.
okay.
Okay.
It was okay.
I can't. I haven't seen it.
The X-Men movies have been okay, like steadily, but
It wasn't
haven't
like
been-
booty. It wasn't the
Yeah.
worst thing I've ever seen. It wasn't, but for a story that good, it wasn't good. But I think they changed so much because they didn't want to be like Captain Marvel, because that Phoenix story is actually similar to like what they had with Captain Marvel. So they had to like change things last minute because Captain Marvel came out first.
Oh,
Oh, really?
So then
So
they
So they don't
want
want
That's
to.
unfortunate.
They didn't want to
So then it
cannibalize
wasn't
their
in
own
space.
kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
storyline. That
Yeah,
makes
and it
sense.
wasn't in space either, which is the best part. It's an
Oh yeah,
intergalactic
the Star
fight.
Jammers and like all
It
those
was all
characters
on a
from that arc.
train.
Oh no.
And that's one thing I love about Marvel. I mean, DC does it, but Marvel is normally in space. So it's colorful, it's bright.
Yeah.
Like the way that Thor Ragnarok is, that's most of Marvel.
Yeah, for
So,
real. And that's
yeah.
the direction they're starting to take this next phase for sure.
Yo, they got the money. Let me see that CGI, yo. Hire
Yeah,
some
man.
tech guys. Get them
Holler
in
at
there.
Pixar, fam.
yeah,
But,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Captain Marvel, I thought it was good. I thought it wasn't worse than any other origin story. I mean, I think the Joker is a better movie, but like I said, it's not a Joker movie, so we're not gonna count that.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst. I liked it better than say like the first Captain America or the first Thor, for example.
Yeah, but people don't like Brie Larson.
Larson.
Larson,
Brie
yeah.
Larson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
gets a bad rap for like maybe
You know, standing up for people of color and women. So like, how dare she?
She gets a bad
Value.
Yeah, because that's why they're angry
Shame.
with her, because she wouldn't interview
The
with-
little kid, right?
No, it's just like all these white boys is like, yo, let's do these interviews, let's do these promotions. She was like, no, women and people of color only. And they were like, so then, and if you notice, that's how they set it up. So then they changed the hype. So weeks before Marvel came out, I was seeing everywhere, it's booty. I was like, how y'all know it's booty? Ain't none of y'all got screeners. You know what I mean? But they're all talking about how terrible it was. So they knew if it wasn't a masterpiece, they were already going to say it was terrible as soon as it came out. And I think the same for the Joker. I saw the minute Joaquin Phoenix got on set, they had those pictures on the gram of him in the train. And
Oh yeah, right.
So
they
you feel
were
like
hyping it 2 years. 2 years. It had to. So it's a good
But to
movie.
be fair, Joker is like
He's iconic.
He's
He's
much
like
more
iconoclast.
iconic, and the fact that he hasn't had a proper origin story before, that I think that's a factor there as well.
I guess.
I
I don't know.
but yeah.
I thought Jack Nicholson
thought it was
had
okay.
a
I
good
thought-
origin
yeah.
story.
He
'Cause
fell in the vat.
Yo, that's all the
yeah.
Joker does.
Ace
Fall in
chemicals,
vats.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
He falls in
Ace
vats.
chemicals.
yo.
That's
Fell
what we
in the
know
vat.
about, but we never knew about the man really.
Right.
Yeah.
And they paint
But you're
it.
right.
They make it seem like it's just ambiguous. We hear so many stories.
It's multiple choice.
Right, it's multiple
Yeah.
choice. So, but we do hear all of them. He's a criminal first. There's none of them that he just falls into a vat and comes
Yeah.
out crazy.
Well, the Killing Joke, he was kind of, but we don't know if that was the actual origin story. He has like the red hood and like he's
he's a
kind of like.
criminal. He was stealing. That's why he was in there.
But he got kind of like thrust into that, right? He was
He was
a good
poor. He
lover
coulda-
and shit. Like he had a girlfriend or a wife or something, and
Yeah,
he was
he
like sort
was-
of. It was desperation that
He quit
Put him
his
down that
job
path.
to become a comedian. And then, like any girl, she was like, yo, we broke. Right? We broke. Go get a
These
job. And
jokes
instead
ain't
of
paying
going
for-
back to the job,
For rent.
he started stealing, right? So that's a criminal mind. He could have been waiting tables, buzzing his butt. They ain't got
right,
some.
man.
There
He's
got to
like,
be a way
nah.
to hustle.
He didn't
said,
go to
nah,
unemployment.
I
I'ma
gotta
do
secure
things.
this bag, fam.
Right. And
For my wife.
it did get over his head. Like it became too much.
Yeah, for real.
But at the same time, it was like, you don't, come on. You got into this life. That's on
he
you.
made a choice. He made a choice.
Right. I never heard somebody like, yo, I started this job at TGI Fridays and it just got out of hand. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way.
I didn't think they were gonna make me strangle people, but
Right.
that's what I'm doing.
Choking people on breadsticks.
I hand out jumbo shrimp and I strangle people.
In the back.
Potato skins. Searing it into their eyes. All right, let's
All right, cool. There's so much more that we could talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And
We can
definitely,
binge and nerd out
this could just
for-
be the whole episode. But we have a binge of the week.
We
so
have a
let's
binge of
get
the week.
to that.
Binge of the week.
And might I just say thank you so much, Winston, for these super delicious drops, man. I don't think we've ever
man.
thanked this.
He's the
Well,
drop
He's
man.
like
Fire.
he's the
You're welcome.
mastermind.
These are fire.
I do
for
some
sure.
audio stuff. You know what I
Sometimes
mean?
I just sit
Try to hold
down
it
and
down.
watch in
Radio.
awe of my co-hosts. You
Radio
guys are great.
win. You know what I mean?
Sending you the good vibes, man. This is something we do as a teacher. I tell my kids so they don't to get them to shut the fuck up and be like, hey, if you like something someone says, just go like this, send them good vibes.
I love
Good
that.
Vibes.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
we are
Vibes.
talking about, like we said before, you know this already, Big Mouth by Nick Kroll and John Mulaney and others. As always, we are going to be getting into actual narrative spoilers. So if you don't want anything ruined for you from the show, now is the time to leave.
ruin you.
We'll ruin you.
Wait, might I say, I don't think you can really spoil this show, right? Do you think you can
It's
spoil?
not. It is less.
you
it
can
is
tell
less of a
what's
show that is like, oh wait, that happened.
No,
oh
but
no.
but
Yeah.
there's a whole. All right.
But so let's get into some of the general stuff here. So this is your pick, your recommendation, Frankie. So thank you for that. And hey, I hadn't watched it before, but I've definitely seen it in the the media sphere. It was up for an Emmy, so I've heard about
it was?
it. Yeah, it was.
I feel like this show
It's
kind
an
of
excellent
snuck
show.
It is. It's
in
really, really funny.
like to the pantheon of animated.
Yeah, I guess, but there's just so many shows
Adult
that it's
animation,
like,
so to speak, yeah.
But it is a great representation of adult animation through Netflix. So it's definitely, I think, its flagship show of that sort. So let's just get into what we like about this show. Generally speaking, what we like, and maybe some criticism. So Frankie, why don't you start us off? Why is this a show that you recommended for us to watch?
Maya Rudolph.
Oh yeah!
She's-
Shout out
yo,
the
she's
queen,
incredible.
Yes.
The monstrous.
Yeah,
She's incredible.
her voice work on that is like.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Connie.
She's like 5 people on there. So she's Connie.
That's right.
She's like, I think Jesse's mother. They all. So there's
Oh,
only if you
okay.
look at the IMDb,
Yeah.
they only got
Like
the
3 or 4,
cast list
yeah.
is short, but it's every person's doing 4 or
Yeah.
5.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a ton of.
That's like the Simpsons.
characters.
That's kind of like the
but-
Simpsons.
yeah.
They don't have. It's like maybe 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
They
Well, this
do
is a
most
bit more extended. They've got a lot of voices on this,
Yeah.
but
A
they're a
lot.
lot. The main ones do a lot of different roles, especially Nick Kroll.
of them.
Nick Kroll was on Jimmy Fallon this past week, I think it was, and he was just basically there, and you're like, do all the impersonations of all the people that you do on Big Mouth, and he literally was just doing it on command, and it was just like insane how he could just.
I didn't
go-
know that
yeah.
he was Maury at first because
Oh,
like
yeah. Oh, that's
a lot
right.
of it, a lot of the voices he does do, you can hear like, okay, that's Nick Kroll's like vocal.
You can hear his
qualities.
essence, yeah.
Yeah, but that one I was like, oh shit, I was like trying to look up like who does his voice. That's really good that he's able to modulate his voice like that.
I love John Mulaney.
Someone's gonna fucking die
John
tonight.
Mulaney is probably one of my favorite
Yeah.
comics
Yes.
on. Besides, Jordan Peele, of course.
Yes.
Oh yes, I loved his character. by the
He's
way.
He's the black
what's
ghost.
his
You
name?
gotta
He's
beat
a
him.
ghost.
You gotta kill him.
Duke Ellington,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Ellington, he's incredible. But I definitely like that. I think they figured it out. You can't really tell a story about puberty in the way that they are if it wasn't animated.
No.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
pushing that
It's insane.
envelope.
They were very self-aware of that. It was like the last episode of season 1 where they
Yeah.
mentioned that. It's like it's basically child porn.
Yeah, but it's cartoon,
right?
so
yeah, it's cartoon,
okay.
so it's all right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the animation isn't like the best thing I've ever seen, but the writing and the creativity is so high up there. It's you get over it that it's regular animation. You know what I mean? I guess in the way that The Simpsons and Family Guy is.
Yeah,
as
but it
well.
allows you to do
Yeah.
so much more with the show when you do
Yeah.
have it animated, and they definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, but Rick and Morty's kind of not like hot, and it's not super finely animated, but that's
It's
because
fun. It's
it's
hilarious.
more about the content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
content versus form. It's like, well, it doesn't have to look the greatest. I mean, look at South Park. How many seasons do they have? And that's literally
They
just
just got
like
their 300th episode.
yeah, and that's just like
Crazy.
stop motion paper mache or
Yeah.
whatever that shit is. You know?
That's how it started. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yummy, what do you like about this show, man?
I like the puberty kind of throwback. My favorite. I saw season 1 and season 2. I've just been super busy, so I haven't been able to binge the whole thing. You
Yeah,
can
stuff.
shame
We
me,
have
that's
real
fine.
lives, guys.
Yeah, but the whole thing about when the Jewish nerdy boy, the tall one with the glasses,
Andrew?
Yeah,
when he
Andrew.
finds out about porn, and he like enters into the porn scape,
Yeah.
and then it's Sylvester Stallone. He's like, "It's great." Like I was crying.
He's fighting. He's like, "Isn't that great? Isn't that
It's
great?"
great. It's great. Like when he's like he's watching the porn and he's just saying like, "It's great. It's great." And so I'm like, "This is stupid." And then he goes in with his porn monster and he has like he's like, "How did you get out of it?" He's like, "I fucked every last one of those bitches." Like it's just like stupid shit like that just kind of tickles my funny bone. And I mean, I don't really relate to it in the effect of how I grew up, like with puberty. I grew up with like West Nigerian parents, so I just had to like, don't get anyone pregnant. I was like, okay, that was kind of like my talk.
It's a low bar.
Yeah, it's very low bar.
bar.
Just,
Pull out.
and I failed at that anyway. So, yeah, it was. I like the show. It's good. It's not my favorite animated show. I'm just like on Rick and Morty and just like watching a lot of anime right now. But I do appreciate kind of how they're pushing the envelope as far as like what they can do on Netflix, because I feel like they're doing that on purpose. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yo, that's
It definitely pushes
I'm like,
the envelope.
because a couple of scenes, I'm like, this feels wrong to watch.
Yeah, and
you
I
know what
guess
I mean?
If
Like,
I had,
I feel like I am watching child porn, and I think that's kind of the line they're playing with. Like, I don't know.
yeah, like
Is
some of
this
the
alright?
things, some of the things that make me uncomfortable. Like I'm thinking of the personification of Jesse's vagina, for example. I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
"Whoa."
Like,
Or Missy, who's one of my favorite characters.
Hold on. Maury has dicks out every episode, and they all have different personalities.
Oh, I'm
But
gonna be very
vagina-
self-aware. Yeah.
The one vagina is getting you. Dicks is in every episode.
And why are the
That's
why are the
No,
dicks hairy?
hey,
What's
I'll
up with
be-
that? What the fuck is up with that shit?
Harry Dicks.
And they're all circumcised.
They're all
They grew back
circumcised.
Very
their hair,
interesting.
man.
They're trying to tell you something.
No, but you're absolutely right. I'm totally self-aware. Yeah, that's my own fucking male ego issue there. That I'm like, oh, one vagina that has eyes is a problem. but like that's crazy though. But
I love that your male ego has that voice.
that's the voice. That's my monster. So, my fucking hormone monster is actually Mickey Mouse. Huh, what are we gonna do? Huh? Time to masturbate. Go to the club. So yeah, that was a little bit weird. I think like Missy, where they were getting comfortable with their bodies, walking around naked. I was like, is it okay to do that? But again, it's funny, and I'm looking at my own hypocrisy here. It's like, is it okay to do that with girls, like on an animated show? Like that triggered that for me more than, you know, even in the first fucking episode, we had Andrew's like dick out there with like the pubes,
Yeah.
or Nick's baby dick, basically. Well, I guess baby dicks are okay.
I mean,
Dragon Ball Z made
mean-
me comfortable with that actually, because there's a lot of baby dicks on DBZ. But I say if I had one criticism about this show, it would be that it doesn't always operate at the height of its intelligence. Sometimes it's a little shock value humory,
Right.
and not all of those land. But overall, I love this fucking show. I love the way it makes me relate to my experiences with puberty. It makes me think a lot. It's perfect for this show because it makes us. It raises a lot of topics that we want to talk about in this forum. And one of the just like as a side note. I love the fucking musical numbers.
Yeah.
As an animated
Yeah.
show, this has like the best. This, I'm a Simpsons huge fan. Family Guy, they have great musical numbers in that.
yeah.
I think this has the best musical numbers of any animated show,
Yeah, I
They're
agree.
hilarious.
Ooh.
They're
Hot take.
hilarious.
That's your
a
hot take?
and like well written and well constructed, like well performed, like good harmonies and shit. I was like, okay, this is like straight up. This I feel like these could be in like any of those like modern show tunes, really.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, for
You
real.
buy the
That last,
soundtrack?
I would not buy this soundtrack.
You buy their soundtrack?
I already own the
It's-
soundtrack.
It's on his Spotify right
Hey,
now.
that's what it is, man.
Probably is. Yeah.
And then this show does a great job of making us care about these characters a lot, which is great. Because at first I was like, you know, it's great. the characters at first, I wasn't totally sold. I was like, okay, it's gonna be kind of like potty humor sort of a thing. But they really got me emotionally invested in these characters. Oh yeah, speaking of the one bit that's weird in this show that they keep on going to is Jay fucking the pillows. I love Jay as a character.
I love him.
Yeah,
He's
I
probably
was
my
just
favorite
about to bring
character.
that up,
Yeah.
But the
actually.
personified pillows for me, I was like, can we
But
not
they-
lean into this as much? That's
Are
fucking
there
weird.
not boys like that who are like?
Yeah, there's
No,
boys. but
totally.
There are
Who
boys
are-
that fuck,
But
like
the-
things.
Often.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like this,
pillows,
him as a
couches.
character, and that concept and the whole thing with the lentils, I was totally on board for that. So fucking funny. But when they started getting personalities and the whole thing with like having a baby, I was like, this
Yeah, it
is
was
But,
gonna be
weird.
but then we find
and
out
they really committed to
We
this.
find out he has like some mental issues,
Yeah.
some ADHD.
And-
so that
Oh, yeah.
could
And also,
all-
like, he comes kind of
Is
from
that
a-
something that comes up in season 3?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Sorry,
and-
I forgot.
I didn't.
that.
also-
No. Do go into the spoilers for sure because it's my fault for not finishing. I got up to like episode 5 of season 3, and then I was wondering when they were going to get into that because
Yeah.
that was my experience. I'm
So
the fucking
he-
ADHD kid, so
Yeah.
like getting the
Yeah, so he has
medication.
ADHD and
Oh man,
and his parents don't really give a shit about him. But
Right.
what do you?
my
think
parents cared
it?
about me. That's the one thing I don't relate to.
Man,
Jay.
I really like the show. I watched the show kind of by accident because my friend came over. He lives in Florida, and he came through and he just started like putting the show on. So I just sat down and started watching, and I just thought it was fucking hilarious. My favorite character would probably be, I guess, Maurice and probably the ghost of Duke Ellington. I don't know why. For some reason, it is the most random. I don't know. I just like that it's so random, and I'm just like, what? I would never think to do this. And also, in the third season, there's an episode that's based on Duke Ellington and sort of his... it's supposed to be about the first time he got laid, but it's more of like an origin story where he's telling the kids, he's up in the attic, he's telling the kids about playing jazz and blah, blah, blah.
That was Bill Cosby.
Was that Bill Cosby? Oh,
yeah, man.
I'm not as good at impersonations.
Hey, man, let's not get canceled now.
No more Bill Cosby. Dude, that just reminds me when she was like, when they were in the gym and fucking Jesse's like, I'm like Bill Cosby, and she looks down and her reflection is Bill Cosby. Oh, they gotta be fucking dying for an hour. But anyway, you were saying as Duke Ellington.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that episode is I thought it was so interesting. Like I watched it and I was just like, this is not going where I expected it to go. It was a really good episode, I thought. Not like the crazy over the top funny episodes that you would expect from some of the other ones, but I thought it was really, really enjoyable. One of my favorite episodes, I think.
All right. Any points of criticism?
Not too many points of criticism. I kind of take it as it is. You know, it's I like the way that they have so many different personalities, and all the personalities are just really, really out there. And like they put like, and I also like how they deal with like depression and how they have like the depression cat.
Oh, that was great.
It's an interesting way.
We're gonna put on double socks, and she's like pouring ice cream in her mouth.
It's
and she sits on her,
right,
which is what depression feels like.
Is that weight?
Yeah. You got this weight on you. So I really like that part of it.
The way they personify and represent like all these different concepts, like the shame
Puberty,
wizard and shit.
monster.
The shame wizard, I love that so much because it's that's where the show is operating at the height of its intelligence, because it's making that observation that how much our shame holds us back from leaning into who we are, which is a phrase that Yemi uses a lot, or sinking into who you are, for sure.
Right, man. Sink
into who you are.
Sink into your essence.
That's actually my favorite episode, the musical number, and when they're like doing the overnight thing. I think it's season 2.
And Missy's humping the worm.
Yeah, and the Shame Wizard is like singing. Well, right before they start acting a fool, but like he's singing to all of them to get them all like to feel shame.
Yeah.
And
it's like that classic Disney bad guy song.
Yes, that's Lupin.
Oh yeah, Professor Lupin.
Yeah,
Lupin, and
from
I know him
Hogwarts.
from Dragonheart. Anyone see that movie? He was like,
no, I didn't see Dragon.
It was with Sean Connery, and he was like, "I am the last one." It was a mid-90s movie. Don't watch it, but he's in that. But yeah, he's a top actor for sure.
This is an interesting question. I just want to pose it. Is puberty middle school more difficult for boys or girls? That's an interesting. I don't know who wrote it in our notes, but I think that's because it kind of paints both, but it seems to lean both on the protagonist.
Yeah, so this is one of the major angles that the show really tackles is puberty and navigating middle school, and it is fucking tough on both sides. So yeah, obviously. It's a stupid question in the sense that like we know that it's more nuanced and like one is harder than the other. We know it's hard for both. So like let's just name that. But if we had to pick, who do you think it's harder for?
I'd say women, but I just think that there's a lot more going on physically, and I think that also just even socially because of the way that you interact with like other women and then even other guys. I feel like that can be sort of weird. You know, I'm just thinking back on my own experience. Like my experience was nothing crazy like what happened on this show, but it's a weird.
You didn't get caught jerking off to your friend's sister's bathing suit?
I'm afraid that did not.
I thought that was a universal. I'm the only. Okay, all right.
Okay, not everyone did that.
I'm
feeling that shame wizard. He's talking to me right now.
I was too busy playing video games and breakdancing, if I'm being honest.
Breakdancing?
Yeah.
I didn't know you breakdance.
Yeah, man. I got
and beatbox.
Yeah. Well, I can't stop.
You didn't have idle hands, man.
Yeah, I didn't get into girls till like high school. I was always like the friend.
So you didn't go through those struggles. Well, you went to also, at least in high school, you went to an all-boys school, right?
Yeah, exactly. No.
You still go through puberty at an all-boys school.
No. But I'm just saying,
true,
like,
true.
I mean, I was always attracted. Like, I was like, whoa, she's hot. But I was never like, I wasn't the hot guy, or like, there was always like that early adopter of Suave in your school. Like, oh, he gets all the chicks, man.
Oh yeah, I definitely wasn't that. But
And
I had the hormones raging.
No, I had the hormones. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Let me preface it. I had the hormones, but the energy went into breakdancing and video games.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
like,
that makes
like
sense.
I was, I was
yeah.
at your house, or I
Yeah.
was like at my house.
We would go to
or I
your
was at
house
HSA.
mainly,
We
and-
were like theater.
He's saying
geeks.
your house. He's pointing at me, Danny.
Yeah. I wasn't at Frankie's house. I was like,
Yeah.
that'd be weird. I was like, I was at your house. I was
How
like,
do you do these
how did you? Wait, I'm out of here. It takes off. No, so like it wasn't hard for me because I had an outlet. But then I got like a girlfriend during theater, and I was like, oh, okay, this is like another fellow geek.
So you didn't have that preoccupation, because that's one of the things that I think is universal for both male and female experience in middle school, is like having that preoccupation with a girl or someone you're interested in, and like that was. I always had like someone that I was like always thinking about, and I was so fucking awkward. And yeah, dude, like the libido thing in middle school is a real thing. Like uncontrolled erections, like literally not even thinking about anything. I'm just like, I'm in a Spanish class. Like, okay,
I got
bell
a
rang.
boner.
I'm gonna wait. And it's like, it's not even like a situation like, think of something else. It's like, I'm not even thinking of anything sexual.
yeah.
This is just fucking happening. Or like times, like I know, like there was one time like I was on a bus and I had to wait to the next bus stop because I couldn't stand up. I was wearing like mesh shorts and I have this fucking raging boner. And I'm like, I'm trying to like see if I can put like my bag like on like one side. I'm like, how am I'm gonna get like fucking horse blinders to like block my.
I forgot about embarrassing boners.
Embarrassing boners, man. It's
I feel like if you get a boner as an
time.
adult, like you gotta get arrested, right? Like what are you getting hard
I don't
for,
know.
bro?
What if you're in like the gym or something and that happens?
Yo,
I feel like that's weird.
creepy too.
Uncontrolled boners are not like a problem for me as an adult. Like it's usually like it is brought on about something, and I'm like, all right, it is time for that thing. I will now allow it to happen.
I'm like, where's Danny going with this? I'll allow it. I'll allow this boner.
We all were silent.
Where is he going?
I'm gonna allow this boner to ride, man. Let's see where it's going tonight.
I have more dominion over my cock now. Anyway,
Frankie, how was your middle
sorry.
school experience?
I'm
puberty.
very interested to see how it is now. I played softball. And I didn't get my period until later.
Okay.
So by then, I didn't have that awkward, like, period in your pants type thing. But I did go to high school in the, like, early mid-2000s. So it was still a time where, like, before Me Too, before, like, I had this, like, old gym teacher doing the classes and stuff like that. So it was hard.
you had a
because
Coach
it's like,
Steve?
I had a, no. Have you guys ever seen Mean Girls?
Yeah.
Yes.
That coach was basically, it was our
really?
gym teacher. I don't know why they get the gym teachers to do it, but it was our gym teacher. His name was like, it was something Greek, like Nichols or something, but whatever. But he was definitely very sexist. I remember he said something like, after women have a baby, they need to lay down so their stomach can go down. Like, so that they can lose their stomach. And I was like,
This is your
what?
health class?
Yeah, this is a health class, but
science.
it was like I still had that double standard. Sexuality wasn't a thing for women at that time because I feel like that's new. You know, we don't women when we're younger don't masturbate, so we have these hormones, and typically we don't because it's like I don't know about kids now, but when I was younger, it was like no one talked about
Was
it.
that like a taboo? Like when
That
you
was
were
like
younger?
a taboo. I remember this girl was dating this guy for at least a year, and they got in an argument in class, and he goes, "That's why you." I don't want to curse.
this is a podcast.
No, curse all the
So he
time.
goes, "That's why you sucked my dick, right?"
Oh.
He says that. Now this is her boyfriend, right? But it was the scandal of the year. We were all like, "Oh my god, I can't believe she's giving head." And like it was like
How old?
We were like 17, head age.
Oh,
I think
wow. That's head age.
Okay.
head
Yeah.
age. But head wasn't a thing. I don't think until I was like in my early 20s. Like girls didn't really give head because you were like dirty. You're like, oh,
Yeah, that
you
was
suck a dick. That's dirty. But now it's like if you like, oh, I don't give head. Girls is like, oh, you gonna be single forever. Girl. Like, it's like that's
Like, you gotta-
crazy. Yeah. Or it's like, oh, your man cheating. You ain't giving head. You know what I mean? So it's
It is a different
interesting
time.
how it changed because when we go through puberty, it's just like a big thing happening to our body and it's quiet, and then all of the rules are put on us and not the boys, and they touch on it on the show.
Yeah, for real.
The
That is
dress
true,
code,
yeah.
the dress code is for us,
It's
not
not
for
for- yeah,
y'all.
it's not for
They don't do a
Right.
class like, hey, girls like to wear their shorts. That's the way clothes are cut. Maybe not touch their ass, or you know what I mean? Yeah, currency now is sending nudes. Don't share it. That's child pornography. You know, things like
Yeah,
that.
and they're speaking to that idea. They touch on like that the boys are getting distracted. And that's something that's like been in existence since, the dawn of time. Like there's literally scriptures from like the Middle Ages of like these women walking around showing their ankles. Like, what are you supposed to do?
We get distracted. We get distracted, bro.
True, yeah.
We get distracted, but we are taught not to show it, right?
Yeah,
so like,
teach
I'll
us
see someone
to control ourselves.
Yeah,
Isn't the way that
I've been walking down the street in New York, and then some like fine man runs by, shirtless, sweaty. He's handsome, but I'm not gonna be like, damn, like I'm not going all the way out for that. And that's the thing. We've been trained to kind of control
Rein that
that,
in,
and
yeah.
you guys are like, boys will be boys. You know what I mean?
So if I can paraphrase, and please stop me if I'm wrong, you're saying it's like socially it's acceptable for men to be men, and like for women to be like women, like that's not ladylike,
or to be more vocal about their sexuality and more open about it.
At least until recently, I feel like the shift is shifting.
Because there's like no slut shaming now, like sex positive, body positive, these movements to kind of, and that is recent for me. Like that's like 2-3 years out when Amber Rose started saying like the slut walk, or am I saying that?
Yeah, it's the
where it's like there's you can be a sexual woman, like that's fine, and that's great. Like I'm like, yeah, everyone join the party.
It's better for everyone.
To be.
I remember in college, guys used to always ask how many bodies you had. And it was never the opposite. Yeah, like how many not like how many people you murdered. Like,
I've never
heard people you killed.
I've never heard a phrase like that. No, how many bodies?
How many bodies, yo? I got 10 bodies.
Let's talk about
you.
eyes. How many eyes I looked into as I watched a life leave them.
Exactly that.
Are you talking about sex? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is
sex.
It's a weird start to our date.
But I would always make up ridiculous numbers, because why does it matter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'll say like 200. They'd be like 200. I'm like, yo,
Damn.
shit is wild. You know what I mean? Things are wild out here. But I'm
class,
like,
man.
what does it matter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to them, it's like, but it's so much misinformation. Like, oh, our vagina is gonna stretch, or like, we're not pure anymore, and things like that. So there's so many things that are pushed out there that just makes it difficult.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you say that like one of the difficult things for girls in middle school coming up, because this was your experience. And it's funny that the whole masturbation shame thing, I remember, and I imagine it's got to be so much different discovering how to masturbate. And the show talks about this as a woman. It's like there's like a process and you got to figure yourself out. A guy is just like gonna
hit it with a stick.
It's just like you do anything. It's like, hey,
nah, that doesn't turn me on. All right,
that shit happened by accident to me the first time, and I was like,
turtle
what's
ladder.
happening? I like it. I gotta clean myself. All right, so like that's how I like discovered it, and I was like, all right, tomorrow night I'm gonna see if I can repeat that.
Do that
process.
again.
Yeah, like that felt good.
I'm gonna see if I can pull that off again. No pun intended.
I have friends now, adult women friends, who like,
I don't know
if I make a joke about masturbating, or if I say like, if I'm telling a story and masturbation is like involved, they're like, whoa, Frankey, that is obscene. And I'm like, yo, we just heard about him sucking, jerking off for 20 minutes. But it's still, for us, it's so many different avenues, so many different ways for us to find out. It's a you guys are all heterosexual.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you gotta ask now. You gotta ask.
I'm the most hetero here. No.
But like, you guys know you're down there, and it's like, you go down there, and it's like, this is totally different than the last one I saw, and she doesn't like what my last girl liked.
I'm like, this was like the go-to thing.
I do the same thing to every guy I've ever been with, and they all love it.
I think
I've never heard like, this is weird. You know what I mean?
I was gonna share something, but I'm gonna not.
Yo, share. I just shared something
All right.
Oh my God.
I'm just gonna say I like it when someone is vocal with me. Just tell me what to do. And I got into an argument with a comedian about it. She's like, if you don't know what to do, you'll never know what to do. And I'm like, what? Like, that makes no
How do you learn?
Like, first of all, that makes no sense. I don't, like, especially if it's someone, like, you've been dating or whatever. And, like, I understand if there's a difference between a one-night stand and someone you're dating, right? So let's make that distinction. If someone I'm dating, like, you gotta, to have good sex, you have to, sometimes you just click in this chemistry.
Yeah,
But
great.
if there's not and you want to get through that, you have to be vocal. Otherwise, I'm guessing and taking shots in the wind.
Basically, yeah.
And
Even
he's
if you, like, you can look up all the, I've done some research,
Yeah, but
got some tutorials,
Yeah.
but like it doesn't work for every single person.
Exactly.
It's not like a one size fits all.
What have worked, and especially if you're getting out of a relationship, what might have worked for this woman if you just like copy paste to another? That's not like it doesn't work like that. And I'm the same way. It's like I don't touch my nipples. I don't like that shit. It makes me angry. You know what I mean? Like it pisses me off. It triggers me. Like don't do that shit. Oh, you don't like that? No, I do not.
I never.
You know,
yeah.
like-
Who actually likes to have their nipples played with?
Some dudes, a lot of dudes.
Cosmo is selling lies. Cosmo is like, yo, try it. Cosmo, I don't know.
It's not an
They say to play
suck
with
a
nipples.
man's
No, they
nipple?
say a lot of things that I know are a no. They say like, touch a little ass play or
I haven't done none
I've
of that.
heard-
I haven't done none of that.
They say it off rip. Try that. You know what I mean?
Hey, ask first, man.
But the-
Ask first. That's all I'm
Right,
saying.
ask
Just don't be like
first.
digit me
Yeah.
up. I'm like, hey, what's
Digit
going on
me.
over here? Hey, fucking.
I was eating
it's
chips
great.
before.
It's great. It's great.
But I think too with women it's scary because
Digit
like
me up.
when we're vocal like that,
Hit me with the digits.
not every guy is receptive. You know
No,
what
no,
I
no.
mean?
Yeah.
So we could be given instructions and they're like, now they're
Not like that.
irritated.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to make sure this isn't mute. And some guys don't care, right? Like you
Yeah,
can tell
some
them
dudes
what
are just
you
like, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and it's just like don't overcomplicate things. It's just like
Yeah.
it's so
And
simple for a guy.
if you know it's not gonna happen, hey, just say, hey, baby, it's not gonna happen. Just get, like, just not.
for a guy,
You
or a
have
girl?
for a girl,
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
sometimes a woman, I'm totally making like a blanket statement.
based on your experience. and worldview.
Because I don't want to fucking cancel and shit. Sometimes a woman will know, like, this is like I'm not there. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh yeah, I do that.
Like, you already
I got
know-
Food, I had food niggas. That's what I called them.
wait, what?
Explain
Whoa.
yourself.
Wait,
I
what?
like this.
Food?
Yeah,
I like this
I'm
episode.
like-
I
I'm
got
like-
food niggas.
I'm laying out a big secret. So what I would do
Appetizers.
is
I got
you get
snack
a
niggas.
guy who really likes you. You're not very sexually attracted to them. So you're like, there's no way we're gonna be in a relationship. 'Cause
Betas.
that is a part of it.
Yeah, for real.
But he's like, infatuated
love
by
with
you, whatever. So then, let's go on a couple dates. And now we're taking it slow. So so I've had food niggas drop me off. And like my actual like sex guy is there, so we'll have a date.
Wait,
and
with
that's common. That's common.
Really?
Or they pull up
This
right
sounds
after.
a lot like a hump and dump sort of situation
Hump
to me.
and dump.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold. And the
Sorry.
dude,
This is
my
this is a
mind
great
equivalent.
You guys are
my
so.
mind is like.
I wish you
I
could
can't
see his
even
face.
talk
He's
right
so
now.
blown right now.
Hold on.
This is not new. This is not something that
I know it's not
made
new.
up.
I know it's not new, but
I'm
I'm
just
so
glad it's
glad
not
you
happening to
I'm
me.
so glad
Jesus
you said it.
Christ.
So one of the things that
And
happens,
didn't even
one of the
know.
things that happens in the show is to illustrate like some of the fucked up things that dudes do. Was the instance where Andrew, the character, gets hooked up with what's that girl's name? Who's like the
Is it Dana?
all right, we got 5 minutes.
We got 5
Let's do
minutes.
this.
Yeah.
Where he is with this like universally like awful girl. She's depicted to be
Lola.
Lola.
Oh, Lola.
This is
Oh, Lola's a
So
fucking
like he
funny
does a thing
character.
where basically he dry humps her and jizzes his pants even though he knows he's gonna dump her kind of a thing. So it's like they shame him. They're like that's fucked up, and it is kind of a fucked up thing to do.
Yeah, you're
but I
leading her
wonder if your food niggas are kind of like the hump and dump
Yes.
equivalent.
Yes. But and I'm not the only woman. Most of us do it.
Okay.
And
I'm sure.
I'm probably gonna get DMs like, Frankie, why you put out a secret?
I'm glad. I'm glad you own this.
You're gonna have a lot of dudes calling people about, am I the food
Am
nigga?
I the food nigga?
All them times at
Oh my
Popeyes,
God, yes.
biscuits.
What we do is we
I shot a man for that
dangle.
sandwich.
We dangle it. So we flirt, right? You may get
I'm
a
the food
hand
nigga.
touch.
Give me this whole
But I know that I'm not finna fuck. Sometimes I may even invite you to the crib.
Ooh, give him a
I'm-
little slice.
We may hug up, da da da.
Wait, what's
but
hug
as
up?
soon
What's
as
hug
it get, you're like cuddled up. You may get a kiss, but then as soon as it goes a little bit further, it goes into like this is moving way too fast. I'm not ready. Da da da.
Ooh.
Kick
You're
'em
right.
out.
It has
Kick 'em out.
these 6 months have
And then
flown
call the
by.
guys. Call the guy that you like to have sex with after.
But that's
Because then that guy is normally ain't shit guy.
So he's just
Right.
So
You just
he's
wanna
just-
But
sleep
he's
with
good in
them.
bed. He's good
Right.
in
He's good in
bed.
bed. Ah.
This is single life.
Okay.
So
Okay.
while you're single, you
Okay.
got the one guy who probably makes more,
Yeah.
and he's taking you out. Then you get the blue collar guy after pull up. That guy who got to shift at Target. Get him after.
Shout out to Target.
Yeah.
Right? Shout out-
Sponsor us, man. Sponsor us, man. Don't be a food nigga.
And if you are, hey, you can listen to
nothing
us.
wrong.
So
They get married.
interesting.
Food
so
niggas
interesting.
get wives,
See?
though. They get married
They
eventually.
do for real. They end up being that dude, Nick's father, who's another character I love.
Well, that's like
I
the-
love
yes,
Nick's
his character.
father.
His
Those are the
character.
best.
I would wife up Nick's
but also,
father, though.
but also, if I may interject, like if you was a food nigga, like you kind of you kind of know that, right? You should
Nah,
know,
not
they
if you
don't
a
know.
bad bitch. Yo, if you good enough, especially in college where there's so much going on and things like that, and the community's so small, it was way easier because it's like we're moving too fast because one wrong move, now you the whole of the campus.
Oh, okay.
Right, so now you can manipulate that a little bit more. And then after I went to college down south, so after I was still in the south, so I was in this small town where it was the same issue. But
Yeah.
up here in New York, I haven't tried to pull off a food nigga situation, so I don't know how long they would be given without that, right?
But
like we in New York, you
there's
10
similar
million.
sort of. I don't know exactly what the dynamic would be, but I imagine there's something similar going on. Especially if you're
A
single,
seamless-
do you? If you're a woman, do you this
Yeah, I
way?
think, like, if you don't have-
if you don't have any obligations or spoken or unspoken, or really you have to speak out your agreements in the terms of your relationship, then like, hey man, all's fair in love and war. That's my attitude.
Yeah.
But man, there's so much I would want to talk about.
Yeah. You'll have to come back.
I think we got to do 2 hours.
Absolutely.
We got to do 2 hours with guests. I think, man.
Yeah,
I think
so because there's
it's
so
just
much
too
to talk
short,
about.
yeah, man. Because I
But,
want to get into this food niggas nonsense, and
That
I
should
want
be a
to find out
full-on
if I'm a food nigga.
And if you are one, you can listen to our relationship episode where we had our other guest,
Yeah, yeah,
Karen
yeah. That's right.
Margolis, where we're talking
That's
about
right.
social dynamics, real social dynamics. Check that out. Step your game up, and you can be a fuck dude or a fuck boy or whatever. And,
Target.
maybe you get a better job than Target.
Yeah. Also, Frankie, where can everyone find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, and that is fantastic. Frankey, Frankey. Not
Important to get that
IE.
spelling right.
Yeah.
Because you're the key.
It's key to your heart.
Yes.
And to getting food for
Key
free.
food.
So we won't tell anyone as long as you bring us the leftovers.
As long
Of
as-
food.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll be in the Swan.
The Swan.
Do they still do that?
I don't know, actually.
The Swan,
aluminum
containers. Doggy bag.
Remember that doggy bag?
I'm gonna bring you
Yeah.
the best, y'all. Cheesy biscuits for everyone.
Yo.
I'm going all in, top tier. Don't worry. Don't worry.
As we
Top
watch
tier guest
anime.
right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Let me get them chicken fingers, fam.
Yeah.
Stop playing. Stop playing.
All right. Well,
Thank you so much.
It has
for,
been awesome having you
Yeah,
on.
it was so fun.
Yeah,
I wish
thank
we
you
had
for
more
coming.
time.
Yeah.
So at the end of the show, what we usually do is talk about what we're watching these days or something, just like a little resolution for the week.
Yeah, what are you watching these days, Frankie?
I'm watching Assassination Classroom right now. That's an anime, and it's this guy who's experimented on, and he can destroy the world. He goes to an underprivileged school,
Hey.
and he says, "This is the deal. If you guys kill me, I won't. In a year, then it's fine. If not, I'm going to destroy the world." So, and he's really just uplifting the students. So he's a
okay.
dope teacher, teaching them like physical fitness, confidence. He's bringing them up in the rankings.
Is it the one with the octopus?
Yes.
Yes, I keep seeing this
It
on my
is
YouTube.
fire. It's
But the
hilarious.
octopus, and he has a bunch of he's yellow.
He's yellow.
Okay, yeah, I gotta check
It's
that one out.
fire.
Sorry,
I'm
yeah.
watching that.
Okay.
And then My Hero Academia just started.
Of course.
And just because of the nature of my show, I've been watching all the CW things that are coming out right now.
Are you watching Bat?
Like the Arrowverse.
Are you watching-
type
Yeah,
stuff?
the Arrowverse. Yeah, I'm watching Batwoman.
Okay.
For women, I gotta watch it. But
Okay.
I feel you.
it's not.
I feel you.
It's cool.
I'm
It's
curious to check it out. I want to see what it's like.
Yeah. For me, the new season of Peaky fucking Blinders just came out. I love this show.
We also
Season
shout out
5.
to the dude who told us to watch it. Shout him out. All right, you looking at me like I'm
Don't
My man
no-
AD.
my man AD.
Oh yeah, AD.
Come
yes,
on,
yes,
bro.
yes.
He's like, who?
Because no, I was at a party the other day
He's
and
looking at
someone
me
told me
like-
to look at this.
My man AD from the
That's right,
the
right.
Compound Movement
Christ, I'm
podcast.
There it is. There you
Thank you.
Got his
Winston.
plug. Got his plug.
God damn.
So yeah, Peaky Blinders, great show.
I
Season
tell
5
people
just
to
came
reach out. I'm like, shout them out. We're like, nobody shouted us out.
I was confused. That was not on there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Peaky Blinders season 5, great show. Takes place in Britain. It gets me to work on my British accent and just listen to it. So we have another situation where I can do it. Can I? All right, Yemi, what you got?
I am watching right now. I'm still watching Workaholics, and that's it. Right, I haven't been home. I've just been studying. I haven't been watching anything, but I want to watch Workaholics. I want to start this new one. Skip me.
All right.
Skip me. I'm sorry. Yeah, Skip me,
I just
'cause
watched
I'm looking for something right now.
the season finale of Secession on HBO, and that was
how was
super
that?
super dope. Yeah,
Okay.
so you should check that out. All right.
All right, we are about to get strangled or kicked out. Or,
Yeah,
So
we
gotta,
definitely
we gotta,
overtime.
okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you once again, fantastic Frankie, for joining us
you.
on this
Follow her on
Binge
Instagram
Society
and our YouTube.
You can follow me at @I_am_Dantastico. You can follow the show at Binge Society on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, Binge Society Podcast. And Winston,
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Radio Win.
And you can find me at Yummy Comedy Instagram. You know what time it is. Yummy
all
Comedy on
right,
Facebook.
it is time
Cheers.
to say goodbye, 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 goodbye. We love you, we love you, we love you.
Peace in the middle.